Fragile paradise. Sophia Wright moved through the rows of grapevines with practiced ease, her fingertips brushing the leaves as morning sunlight filtered through the canopy. At 34, she had transformed her grandfather's struggling vineyard into luminous hills, one of the most respected boutique wineries in Sonoma Valley. The slight curve of her belly beneath her linen shirt was still hardly noticeable to others, but she constantly found herself resting her hand there, still amazed by the miracle growing inside her after 3 heartbreaking miscarriages. Testing the Cabernet again? Nathan's voice carried across the vineyard. Her husband of 7 years approached with 2 steaming mugs, the scent of herbal tea wafting in the cool morning air. "The harvest will be exceptional this year," Sophia replied, accepting the tea with a smile. The balance of rain and sun was perfect. "I'm thinking our reserve might win more than regional recognition this time." Nathan Wright had none of his wife's vinicultural knowledge, but his tech company's success had provided the capital that saved Luminous Hills during a difficult period 4 years ago. At 38, his dark hair was already showing distinguished streaks of silver at the temples, evidence of the stress that came with building Horizon Technologies from nothing. "You said that last year," he teased, slipping an arm around her waist. His hand joined hers over their growing child. "How's our little grape doing this morning?" "Active. Apparently following in your restless footsteps," Sophia laughed, leaning into him. "The doctor says everything looks perfect at 16 weeks. The vineyard spread before them, 30 acres of meticulously tended vines rolling over gentle hills with the main house and winery buildings nestled in the valley. The morning fog was just burning off, revealing the kind of day tourists traveled miles to experience. "The invitations for the Harvest Festival went out yesterday," Sophia said, her voice shifting to business mode. "The response has already been tremendous. Apparently having a tech millionaire for a husband makes people curious about what was once just my grandfather's humble vineyard." Nathan chuckled. "They come for the spectacle, but they stay for the wine. Your talent is what built this place, not my money." What remained unspoken was how close they had come to losing everything, both the vineyard and their marriage, 4 years earlier. The investment that saved Luminous Hills had also been Nathan's way of making amends after his brief affair with his business partner, Isabella Vega, during their company's tumultuous early days. "Ms. Wright?" Their conversation was interrupted by Luis, Sophia's assistant winemaker. "The distributor from Chicago is on the line about the special reserve." "I'll take it in the office," Sophia said, handing her mug back to Nathan. "Don't forget we have dinner with the Hansons tonight. 6 o'clock. As Sophia walked away, Nathan's phone buzzed with a text message. He glanced down at the screen and his face paled slightly. "I'm back in town. We need to talk. What we built together is falling apart without you." Isabella. Nathan quickly deleted the message, his jaw tightening. Isabella Vega had left Horizon Technologies 2 years ago after Nathan bought out her shares, allowing her to start her own venture. He had hoped that would be the end of their complicated relationship, but apparently she had other ideas. Unbeknownst to either of the Wrights, Isabella's sleek black Audi was already winding its way up the long drive to Luminous Hills. She adjusted her designer sunglasses in the rearview mirror, her red lips curved into a determined smile. "Time to reconnect with old friends," she murmured to herself, eyeing the elegant invitation to the Harvest Festival that lay on the passenger seat. An invitation she had specifically requested from a mutual acquaintance, knowing full well that Nathan would never have approved. Shadows from the past. Isabella Vega's arrival at Luminous Hills sent ripples through the calm surface of the Wrights' lives. Nathan found her standing in the tasting room, charming Sophia with industry knowledge and feigned admiration for the vineyard's award-winning Merlot. "Isabella," Nathan said, his voice tightly controlled, "this is a surprise." "Nathan," she replied smoothly, her dark eyes flickering with something unreadable. "Your wife has been giving me a wonderful tour. You never mentioned how talented she is." Sophia beamed, unaware of the tension crackling between them. "Isabella is interested in investing in small wineries. I've invited her to the Harvest Festival as my special guest." Later that evening, after Sophia had retired early, pregnancy fatigue claiming her, Nathan confronted Isabella on the vineyard's terrace. "What are you really doing here?" he demanded. Isabella swirled the wine in her glass, moonlight catching in its ruby depths. At 36, she remained strikingly beautiful, her success evident in her confident posture and tailored clothing. "Horizon stock has dropped 15% since I left," she said. "The board is questioning your leadership. I thought you might want to discuss possibilities." "There are no possibilities, Isabella. That chapter is closed." She stepped closer. "Is it? We built something extraordinary together, Nathan. Then you threw it away for this. Quaint little life." "I didn't throw anything away. I chose my marriage, my real life," Nathan said firmly. "Whatever you're planning, leave Sophia out of it." Isabella's laugh was soft and dangerous. "Your precious Sophia, the woman you ran back to after our affair. Tell me, does she know all the details of those 6 months? How close you came to leaving her?" Nathan's hands clenched. "That's ancient history. We've moved past it." "Have you?" Isabella placed her glass down. "Or have you just buried it under guilt and this rustic fantasy? The Nathan I knew was ambitious, driven, not playing gentleman farmer with his grandfather-in-law's struggling vineyard." "You need to leave," Nathan said coldly. Isabella's smile didn't reach her eyes. "I'll see you at the festival, partner." Over the next 2 weeks, Isabella wove herself into the preparations for the Harvest Festival. She charmed the local business owners, made suggestions that Sophia enthusiastically implemented, and established herself as an invaluable connection to high-end distributors. What no one saw were her careful observations of Sophia's daily routine, particularly her habit of drinking a special non-alcoholic berry and herb tea blend during pregnancy. Or how Isabella lingered in the winery laboratory, studying the various compounds used in the winemaking process. Sophia, meanwhile, found herself genuinely enjoying Isabella's company. "She's nothing like you described," she told Nathan one night as they prepared for bed. Nathan paused, choosing his words carefully. "People show different faces in different contexts." "She mentioned you two were close once," Sophia said casually, watching her husband's reaction in the mirror. "That there might have been something more than business between you." The silence stretched between them. Nathan had never fully disclosed the extent of his affair with Isabella, allowing Sophia to believe it had been a single moment of weakness rather than months of deception. "That was before she tried to take control of Horizon," he finally said, avoiding the real question. "Before I realized what kind of person she really is." Sophia turned to face him, her hand resting on her growing belly. "Nathan, is there something you're not telling me about Isabella? Something I should know?" For a moment, Nathan considered coming clean, admitting the full truth that might help Sophia understand the danger Isabella potentially represented. Instead, he kissed her forehead. "Just be careful around her. Business can make people ruthless." As the Harvest Festival approached, Isabella's plan crystallized. She had discovered a compound in the laboratory used to test for certain wine impurities that would cause severe illness without being easily detectable. Nothing lethal, but enough to send Sophia to the hospital, possibly jeopardizing her pregnancy. The perfect revenge, taking from Nathan what mattered most, just as she felt he had done to her. The night before the festival, Isabella stood on her hotel balcony overlooking the valley, a small vial concealed in her palm. Tomorrow would change everything. The poisoned glass. The day of the Harvest Festival dawned with perfect blue skies and a gentle breeze. Ideal weather for the hundreds of guests already arriving at Luminous Hills. Sophia directed staff with calm efficiency, her flowing emerald dress elegantly accommodating her 5-month pregnancy. "Everything is beautiful," Isabella commented, appearing at Sophia's side in a striking red gown. "You've created something truly special here." "Thank you," Sophia replied warmly. "I couldn't have done it without Nathan's support." "Yes, Nathan has always been good at supporting women in their endeavors." Isabella's voice carried a hint of something that made Sophia look at her more closely. The main event would take place at noon, the ceremonial first tasting of this year's special reserve, with Sophia presenting her signature non-alcoholic blend for those who didn't drink. A tradition she had started to make everyone feel included. Nathan found Sophia arranging display glasses on the presentation table. "Have you seen Isabella?" he asked, tension evident in his voice. She offered to help Luis bring up the special reserve and my berry blend from the cellar, Sophia answered. Nathan, what's going on? You've been on edge since she arrived. Before he could answer, Isabella appeared carrying a tray with a single crystal decanter. Your special blend, prepared exactly to your recipe, she announced, placing it carefully on the table. I thought the expectant mother deserved her own dedicated service. That's thoughtful of you, Sophia said, though her smile had grown uncertain. The festival reached its peak as guests gathered for the tasting ceremony. Sophia stood before them, radiant as she spoke about the vineyard's history and future. Nathan watched from the side, his gaze repeatedly drawn to the decanter Isabella had brought. And now, Sophia concluded, we invite you all to taste this year's special reserve, while I enjoy my non-alcoholic alternative. As servers began pouring wine for guests, Sophia reached for the decanter. Nathan suddenly moved forward, something instinctive warning him. Let me, he said, taking the decanter from her hands with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He poured a small amount into a glass, seemingly to check its clarity. Isabella, standing nearby, felt her heart rate quicken. This wasn't part of the plan. A commotion at the entrance distracted Sophia, who turned to address an issue with late-arriving VIP guests. In that moment, Nathan lifted the glass to his lips, taking a small sip of the blend intended for his wife. The taste was slightly off, a metallic bitterness beneath the berry flavors. His suspicions confirmed, he set the glass down and locked eyes with Isabella across the crowd. The flash of alarm in her expression told him everything. 20 minutes later, as Sophia was concluding her speech, Nathan felt the first symptoms: dizziness, then a sharp, cramping pain that doubled him over. He tried to make it inside without causing a scene, but collapsed near the winery entrance. Nathan! Sophia's scream cut through the festive atmosphere. Guests turned to see her rushing to her husband's side as he convulsed on the ground. Everything devolved into chaos. Someone called an ambulance, others cleared space. Sophia cradled Nathan's head, her face white with terror. What's happening? Nathan, stay with me, she pleaded. Isabella stood frozen, watching the scene unfold with growing horror. This wasn't supposed to happen. It was Sophia who should have taken ill. Not severely enough to cause permanent harm, just enough to frighten her, to remind Nathan of what he could lose. But now Nathan lay on the ground, his breathing labored, his skin ashen. As paramedics arrived and loaded Nathan into the ambulance, Sophia turned and saw Isabella's expression, not concern or shock, but guilt. In that moment, understanding dawned. What did you do? Sophia whispered, her voice barely audible over the crowd's murmurs. Isabella took a step back. I never meant. It wasn't supposed to be him. The admission hung in the air between them as Sophia's world collapsed around her. She turned away without another word and climbed into the ambulance beside her unconscious husband. Left behind, Isabella felt the weight of dozens of questioning stares. Her perfect revenge had backfired catastrophically, and in the wreckage lay not only Nathan's life, but her own carefully constructed future. Luis approached, Nathan's abandoned glass in his gloved hand. The police are on their way, he said quietly. I think they'll want to test this. Isabella closed her eyes briefly, the magnitude of what she'd done finally hitting her. In her blind pursuit of vengeance, she had poisoned not just a drink, but every aspect of her life. Truth uncovered. The antiseptic smell of the hospital corridor burned Sophia's nostrils as she paced outside the ICU. 12 hours had passed since Nathan collapsed, and the doctors had only recently stabilized his condition. Toxicology results confirmed what she already suspected. A concentrated chemical compound typically used in wine testing had been mixed into her special blend. A compound that could have caused a miscarriage had she consumed it instead of Nathan. Detective Elena Reyes approached, her expression grave but compassionate. At 45, she carried herself with the quiet authority of someone who had seen the worst of human behavior but hadn't become callous. Mrs. Wright, we've taken Ms. Vega into custody, she said. She's confessed to tampering with your drink, though she maintains she only intended to make you ill. not to cause serious harm. Sophia pressed a hand against the wall to steady herself. Why? What could I possibly have done to her? Detective Reyes hesitated. I believe this situation goes beyond you, Mrs. Wright. Based on Ms. Vega's statement, this appears to be about your husband and their past relationship. I know they were business partners, Sophia said quietly, and that there was an indiscretion one time years ago. The detective's expression told Sophia everything before she even spoke. According to Ms. Vega, their relationship lasted for 6 months, ending only when your husband chose to recommit to your marriage. She claims he was preparing to leave you before learning about your previous pregnancy. The revelation struck Sophia like a physical blow. 6 months, not a momentary lapse, but a sustained deception. All while she had been fighting to save her grandfather's vineyard and grieving her second miscarriage. Ms. Vega provided emails and messages as evidence, Detective Reyes continued gently. I'm sorry to be the one telling you this. When finally allowed into Nathan's room, Sophia stood at the foot of his bed, studying his pale face. Monitors beeped steadily, tracking the gradual strengthening of his vital signs. The doctor had explained that with the antidote administered in time, Nathan would likely make a full recovery. You should rest, Dr. Patel advised, touching Sophia's shoulder. The stress isn't good for your baby. Sophia nodded absently, her hand resting on her belly where their child moved restlessly, as if sensing the turmoil around them. Left alone with her unconscious husband, Sophia finally allowed the tears to come, not just for today's trauma, but for the years of half-truths and the foundation of lies their renewed marriage had been built upon. Why couldn't you have told me the whole truth? She whispered. I might have understood. I might have... Her words trailed off as Nathan's eyes fluttered open. Sophia, he rasped, his voice barely audible. You're safe. She moved closer, emotion warring within her. Yes, I'm safe. Because you drank from my glass. Recognition and then shame flooded his features. Isabella, he said. She did this. She's been arrested, Sophia confirmed. She told the police everything, Nathan. Not just about today, but about the 6 months you spent with her while we were still married. About how you were planning to leave me. Nathan closed his eyes briefly, the monitors registering his elevated heart rate. I never told you the whole truth because I was ashamed, he admitted. Because I didn't want to lose you again. So instead, you let me believe it was one mistake. Not a deliberate choice you made day after day for half a year. Sophia's voice remained steady despite her tears. You let me rebuild our life on a lie. I convinced myself it was protecting you, Nathan said weakly. But I was protecting myself. In the stillness of the hospital room, something shifted between them, the careful edifice of their reconstructed marriage crumbling to reveal the unstable foundation beneath. I need time, Sophia finally said, gathering her purse. Time to think about what this means for us, for our future. As she turned to leave, Nathan reached for her hand. I never stopped loving you, he said desperately. Even during those months with Isabella, it was you I came back to. Sophia gently withdrew her hand. That's the problem, Nathan. You shouldn't have had to come back at all. The following days passed in a blur of police statements, medical updates, and avoiding the press that had descended on their story, the millionaire tech entrepreneur poisoned by his jilted ex-lover at his pregnant wife's vineyard made for irresistible headlines. Isabella remained in jail, denied bail due to the seriousness of the charges. According to Detective Reyes, she had become increasingly cooperative, providing detailed information about her plan and expressing what appeared to be genuine remorse. Sophia threw herself into managing the vineyard, grateful for the distraction. 1 week after the incident, she received an unexpected visitor at the main house. Mrs. Wright? I'm Caroline Vega, the elegant older woman introduced herself. Isabella's mother. New beginnings. Autumn painted the vineyard in crimson and gold as Nathan stood on the porch of the main house, watching the harvest in progress 3 months after the poisoning incident. His physical recovery had been faster than expected, but rebuilding trust with Sophia proved a more delicate process. They had agreed to a new arrangement, Nathan living in the guest house while they attended weekly counseling sessions together. Not separated, not fully together, but intentionally working through the wreckage of their past. "The Syrah looks exceptional this year," Sophia commented, joining him on the porch. At 8 months pregnant, she moved more slowly now, one hand supporting her lower back. "Luis seems to have everything under control," Nathan observed. "He's learned well from you." A comfortable silence settled between them, the kind that had become possible again only recently. "I visited Isabella yesterday," Sophia said finally. Nathan turned to her in surprise. "You never mentioned you were planning to." Isabella Vega had accepted a plea deal, 5 years for attempted assault with a toxic substance, reduced from the potential 15 she might have faced at trial. Her genuine remorse and full cooperation had influenced the prosecutor's decision. "I needed to see her, to understand," Sophia explained. "And maybe so she could understand me too." "And did you? Understand each other?" Sophia considered the question. "Not entirely. But we both recognized that what happened that day was the culmination of choices made by all three of us. Her vengeful ones, your deceptive ones, and my willfully blind ones." The harvest workers called out cheerfully to each other in the distance, the sound of their voices carrying on the crisp air. "She asked me to forgive her," Sophia continued. "Not immediately, not completely, but to consider it possible someday." "And what did you tell her?" Nathan asked quietly. "That forgiveness isn't a single moment, but a process. That I'm working on it, just like I'm working on forgiving you." "And myself?" Nathan nodded, understanding the parallel. Their counselor had emphasized that rebuilding trust required not just acknowledging past wrongs, but creating new patterns to replace the broken ones. "The nursery is finished," he said, changing the subject. "I installed the crib yesterday while you were at your appointment." Sophia smiled, the first genuine smile he had seen in days. "Would you show me?" Together they walked through the house to the room that would soon welcome their daughter. Nathan had painted the walls a soft sage green, and the afternoon light spilled through gauzy curtains onto the handcrafted wooden crib, a gift from Luis and the vineyard staff. "It's perfect," Sophia whispered, running her hand along the smooth rail. Nathan remained in the doorway, not presuming to share this intimate moment without invitation. "There's a letter in the drawer," he said, "for our daughter. About mistakes and forgiveness and how love sometimes has to be rebuilt, for when she's old enough to understand." Sophia turned to look at him, tears glistening in her eyes. "You wrote her a letter?" "I wrote many," Nathan admitted. "One each week since the hospital. About how her mother taught me what real strength looks like. About how I'm learning to be worthy of both of you." For the first time in months, Sophia reached for his hand, drawing him into the room beside her. That evening, as sunset burnished the vineyard in golden light, they sat together on the porch swing, tentatively planning the spring planting. Not quite healed, but healing. Not perfectly whole, but finding wholeness in their imperfect journey forward. "I was thinking," Sophia said quietly, "that it might be time for you to move back into the house. Before the baby comes." Nathan studied her face, searching for certainty. "Are you sure?" "No," she answered honestly. "But I'm sure that I want to try. That what we're building now feels more real than what we had before, because it's based on truth rather than illusion." Miles away in a prison cell, Isabella Vega began writing in a journal, part of the therapy program she had embraced. Her entry that day was addressed not to Nathan or even to Sophia, but to herself and the woman she wanted to become when she eventually returned to the world. And in the quiet of the autumn evening, as the lights of luminous hills began to twinkle on across the property, Sophia felt her daughter kick strongly beneath her heart, a reminder that even from the darkest moments, new life and hope could emerge. Nathan placed his hand gently over hers. "Whatever comes next," he promised, "no more shadows between us." Sophia nodded, her head coming to rest against his shoulder as stars appeared one by one above the vineyard that had witnessed both their greatest sorrows and their most profound chances at redemption. "No more shadows," she agreed, as they rocked slowly in the gathering darkness, the past loosening its grip with each passing day. and the future, uncertain but honest, waiting to be written together.